Hey everyone, welcome back to Read Books Get Lit. I'm Zaida, and this is First Cat. She will be joining us this morning. I'm getting ready to start a writing slash revising session. I want to get at least 3 hours of solid writing time in. I also really want to take advantage of the cooler weather this morning. It's been a slog of a summer with the heat and me trying to focus in the heat. So it's cooler. Maybe it'll rain. That would be awesome. But while the weather is still cool, I definitely want to dive into the writing, focus up a little bit, and take you along for the journey. So let's get into it. When I start a writing session, I go over my notes just so I know where I last left off and what scenes I'm going to be working on that day. I go through my calendar, I check off what I call my set list. It's basically a running list of scenes in the order that I have rearranged them in or want to write them in. Once I have that all good, I start the writing session. I will say that this revision, which is draft 5 of the manuscript, there's been certain sections where I needed to add a lot more context to sort of fill everything out. And then there's been sections where it's just a bunch of line edits. So this time around, it's been a combination of writing a lot and then not writing a lot. Do you have those scenes or chapters in your manuscript that you're super excited and anxious to get to, but at the same time, it's very overwhelming and those conflicting feelings kind of prevent you from moving forward? I'm reaching that point in the manuscript. I knew going into this revision that the second half was going to be the hardest, which it is, and also specifically the end of the second act into the third, and then the rest of the third act were going to be very difficult. And that's where I am right now. So I guess I'm just overthinking it, or I don't know. I don't know, but I want to revise and write, but then I'm like being super nitpicky about it, which might just be me avoiding actually moving forward and working on it. Hopefully I can get through that today. That'll be my goal. If I can get through this chapter, I'll be very happy at the end of the day. Hello, First Cat. Are you enjoying the writing session so far? No? You look kind of bored. Okay, I'll stop bothering you. A couple of times during this revising draft, I've felt and thought, is anything actually happening in this story? I think that's a result of being the only person having looked and read through this thing in, I guess, over 4 years at this point, which, it makes sense because I'm so in deep with the writing and revising and the analyzing of the story that I'm not really seeing the bigger picture. So I'm very thankful to my friend Alexandra. Shout out to Alexandra, who graciously has been helping me out with edits and critiques and feedback. And in doing so has, reassured me in a way that there are things happening and the characters are growing and changing. So that's good because and I don't know if other writers feel this way at certain points in their writing process, but I often feel like I'm just writing gibberish and nothing is linking or making sense or relevant to the actual story. And that just might be the self doubt creeping in. So hopefully things are happening and people are changing because that is the goal. Alrighty, folks. So I just got through about 2 hours and some change of writing time, revising time. I made it through a couple chapters, which I'm very stoked about. Thankfully, those are kind of out of the way for now. They weren't hard chapters. Okay, they really were not. If I was a little bit more motivated, I probably could have gotten through them a little faster than I did. However, the point in which I am in the narrative, in the story, I'm at the end of Act 2, going into Act 3. And the chapters that I just worked on, there's a turning point for the MC, the main character. And there's been kind of a lot of buildup getting to this point, and I I guess I was hesitant to make it live up to the expectations that I had been trying to set up in the, previous chapters. And because this turning point, it involves the MC's family and those familial relationships and dynamics, I wasn't 100% on how to tackle it. So that's kind of why I've been putting it off, or not putting it off. Rather, I'm just not in a rush to get to them. But thankfully, I've worked on that. I am now moving into another turning point, as it were, and this, I would say, probably the next 1, 2, 3 chapters, 2 to 3 chapters, will be closing out the second act and then going straight into top of the third act, which is going to be a doozy. The entire third act really is just not great. I mean, that's what revisions are for. You revise to get it a little bit sharper and cleaner. But I know that when I worked on this before, I did not have a clear vision in my head of how to get, like, just for act 3, how to get from point A to Z within that act. I knew A and I knew M and I knew Z, but everything in between just kind of floated around in my brain, and it didn't settle the way that I wanted it to. So I know act 3 is going to be the hardest for me to revise and edit because there's a lot of there's a lot of threads that need to be addressed. Definitely linking things from previous chapters. I, yeah, I'm not putting it off. I just don't particularly, I'm not excited to get to it, but I know it has to be done. So that's where I'm headed. I think today I should be able to get, well, should. I want to. I'm not sure if I will, but I hope that I can get through at least 2, if not 3 chapters by the end of today. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a lunch break. I have some leftovers. I'm going to heat up, maybe watch an episode of something. I don't know. And then come back re energized, refueled, and hopefully I can get a little bit more done with this revision today. Thankfully, the weather, it's still pretty cool outside. It's a little gloomy, which is glorious because the weather this summer has really screwed up my writing plans. I just can't focus when it's hot. And unfortunately, it's been really fucking hot. So this summer was not great for me. It has been a slog, but the seasons are changing. thankfully. So I'm going to take advantage of that. We will regroup later, get some more revising done, and then I'll let you know how that goes. I'm about to start the next writing and revising session, probably for the next hour, maybe hour and a half. Before I do that, I wanted to show you how I've set up and organized my desk when I write, since I haven't done that yet. So on this side, I keep this black folder, and I put this together during the researching phase. I have a bunch of photos, images from this time period. I'm writing a historical fiction story, so this was really critical when I was writing the first draft, especially since I obviously was not around during this time period. So this was really, really helpful. Over here, I have printed out my questionnaires. So when I work with beta readers, I send them this questionnaire. Shout out to my beta readers from years ago. I really appreciate their feedback, thoughts, comments, critiques. I go through it all, and these sticky notes in particular, these are sort of the main things that I pulled from them, especially if they were repetitive between the different beta readers. These are the things that I want to work on in the next draft. So I keep this folder on hand. It's right next to my spiral notebook, my trusty spiral notebook. So every manuscript that I write, I dedicate a notebook specifically for that. I don't take notes digitally. That's not really my style. I'm very much a pen and a paper note taker. So this is how I organize all my thoughts, my chapter ideas, character profiles, everything goes into my notebook here. Always have this stack of post-it notes and sticky notes on hand. I do listen to music when I write. I can't listen to songs with lyrics in them because I get distracted. I start singing them in my head. So when I'm writing, I'm only listening to instrumental music. I'm a big fan of soundtracks. Movie soundtracks, super underrated. I feel like people don't appreciate them, but the score of a film can make or break that movie. That's my opinion. So I have an entire playlist just of songs from movie soundtracks that I listen to while I write. Over here, I have a smaller notebook, this little steno. This page is called Big Revision Edits. So these are sort of I guess, the main pain points that I need to address during this draft. And I keep this here just so that it's top of mind while I'm going through everything. So I do have my laptop. I do, however, use my monitor. I like the bigger screen of everything. So here on the laptop, I kind of use it as a display. This is where I keep my calendar of events. So again, I'm writing historical fiction, and because there are actual events that happened that are in the story, I really like to keep track of it. So I've created a calendar. I also keep this, it's sort of my 3-act structure, just laying everything out in order. I jot down the inciting event, the pinch points, everything. And I've actually done several of them. This is probably, you know, the 20th version of this that I've made, but I keep that here behind my calendar of events, just so I have them for reference if needed, especially because it's historical fiction and I might need to like move things around. It's good to have that here if I need it. And that was a very long-winded tour of my desk. So I will stop yapping and get to typing. we are in the home stretch of today's writing session. I think it's gone pretty well so far. One thing I will say about this revision as a whole, it's been kind of tricky to get back into it because I have not consistently worked on this project since 2021, which was a while ago. So, all of the research that I did, the character development, the historical awareness of what was going on in 1943, that kind of left my brain space in the time since I last worked on it, right? So, not only have I had to look at this project with a critical, analytical approach, craft wise, but I've also been refamiliarizing myself with the characters in the story. It's been tricky, it's been a bumpy road, but it has kind of smoothed out, and thankfully things were very familiar once I got to them. So for that, I'm very thankful. I just wrapped up my second writing session of the day. I got through two more chapters, which is pretty good. I did have to add a couple sections in each just to set up some things that are going to come into play in Act 3. I also had to smooth out some of the, I guess you'd say, the changes in the relationships of some of these characters, at least compared to where they were in the beginning of the story to where they are now. So, got through that, feeling pretty good about it. I do think, if my math is correct, I think I have 2 or 3 more chapters, and then that'll close out the second act. My thought, my goal, is to come back tomorrow, tackle those last remaining chapters, and then be done with the second act. That's my plan. I did consider for a hot minute if I was going to come back this evening for a third writing session. Ultimately, I don't think that I'm going to. I was on the train of thought that, I had a pretty good writing day. I'm kind of in the flow. Things are going well. However, I don't want to overexert myself, which I have a tendency to do when it comes to my writing. I kind of just like push through it, but that doesn't always equal the best work, for me at least. So I think I'm gonna call it for the day, come back tomorrow, and hopefully get through the last couple of chapters in this act. And if so, I'm gonna be a very happy camper if that happens. So fingers crossed, that's my goal. That's what I'm hoping for by the end of tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me on my first writing vlog ever, actually. That's a really cool milestone for the channel, so I appreciate you being here. If there was at least one thing you enjoyed or found amusing about today's video, whether that was my clacky keyboard or maybe First Cat's guest appearance, definitely consider giving this a thumbs up and subscribing. It can really help my channel as we navigate the pathways of YouTube life. And for anyone else also working on a manuscript or any other, creative project in general, whether you're on your 20th draft or, you know, researching an idea, I'm sending you all the energy, all the good thoughts your way. You definitely need more creativity in this world. It's very much needed right now. So wherever you are in your process, I hope it's going well. Keep at it, keep going. We need your art in the world. And from one creative to another, stay inspired and keep creating. Until next time, bye.